Alright everybody, today we're going to get started on the E30, knock out one more thing we got to do before my son turns 16 and gets to take this thing out and drive it around on his own. This is actually a really important thing we're doing today. You saw us, if you watch the channel, do the fuel injectors a while back. So we had the old fuel rail out and everything, had the fuel lines, the actual hoses disconnected, all that kind of stuff. But now we've noticed that they're actually in pretty bad shape. And if you get down in here and look pretty close, you can see how they're starting to crack a little bit. And what also happened, we had it out here running a couple days ago, and actually luckily had the hood open, but I was looking, and right there, but not on the side, you can see on the other side of the hose, it sprung a leak, and there was just shooting a little stream of fuel, luckily over towards the intake side, not down here on the exhaust side. But I had fuel running down the block, and you can see it from the driver's side, but we're gonna have to go ahead and replace those. So as you can see, that hose, that's the return line right there. So hose clamp runs down, dips down in there underneath the intake manifold, comes out over on the other side. So I'll walk you around over there. I was smelling something. I started noticing something just wasn't right as I was looking at the really the AC is what I was looking at. That's another story. But got to looking, and then I could see down in here where there was some fuel running down the block. Looked underneath, had a big old puddle. But if you look right straight down in there, it's kind of hard to see, but right down in there, you can see where those hoses are. That's where that hose goes, and it goes down there to the bottom of the car, and then once it passes the firewall, pretty sure it transitions to a hard line. And if you notice, there's two lines there. The other one comes up, and it's the feed line right here. So that one actually looks like it's starting to get cracked up and stuff too. So we're gonna go ahead and pull those two off, run down to the parts store, get some new fuel hose, and put it back on. So this shouldn't be a huge deal, but it's a very important one because we don't want to burn this whole car down to the ground. So that's what we're going to do now. Go ahead and start working on getting that apart. As you can see, we are outside, so that way any fuel that falls down and all that kind of stuff, it won't start a fire in our garage, which there's the Porsche sitting there. We got some stuff to do to it. But that way we won't burn the house down. But anyway, we're gonna get working on that. And that's our project for today, so he can start driving this thing tomorrow when he gets his license. I don't know how well you can see it, but you see those two lines going down there, and if you look really close, you might be able to see where the connectors are, the hose clamps down there. So that's where they connect. We're just gonna disconnect those and then disconnect them at the top and pull them out. All right, gang, so I'm gonna I haven't jacked the car up or anything. Small change of plans. I could reach it, but I couldn't really get the screwdriver to work good, and I couldn't see what I was doing. So I went ahead and jacked up the car. Got a chock under the passenger side rear tire, and I put the ramp in this way to hold it. That way it's not right where I need to be, which is right where that towel is. So this way we can reach under there and look a little bit better, get what we need to get done, hopefully faster. All right, guys. Now that I've got this up in the air, I'm going to make up for my camera work. So right there, in the middle of the screen, you can see there's right there, those two hoses. One is the feed line for the fuel, one is the return line. So we're going to make sure we know which one's which, because we need to do that. But basically that's what we're trying to disconnect, is those two things right there. As you can see, this is where it is. There's your steering, all that stuff, suspension, some other things up in through there. But that's where we're at, right down here on the frame, below the brake booster and everything. Got that one disconnected, so that's kind of the lower one, or the more forward of the two. And I've checked that one, and that is the return line. So the lower forward one is the return line. As you can see, it's still dripping some fuel. I poured a decent amount on my hand. Rinsed all that stuff off though, so we're good there. I'm going to go up to the other end of that hose, and I'm going to disconnect it up on the fuel rail, and then work on pulling that all the way out from the top side. So pretty easy up here on the top side, right there. That's all you got to do. So that's the return line off of the fuel rail. The tape is still there from when we had some of the wires labeled from when we did the fuel injectors. But I'm just going to disconnect and do this sucker right here, and we'll be able to pull this line off and pull it back out, measure it up. Okay, I crawled underneath, disconnected the other line. Now up here, this is where that feed line goes. Right there, you can see it go down and then come across here. And if you're looking down in there, you can see that big zip tie. So they've zip tied this hose in with a bunch of the other stuff right there. So now that I see what they've done, I'm gonna have to go ahead and clip that in order to be able to get the hose out of the bundle. But I'll just clip that. That'll loosen everything up. We'll be able to pull this hose back up through here once I disconnect that hose clamp, and then you kind of see it goes through there down into there. So we'll get it out, and then we'll have to put a new zip tie down in there once we get to that point, but not that big a deal. Okay, here we are. We got them both out. Look to be about the same length, maybe 3 feet or so. I haven't checked measured them yet, but we'll take them up there and make sure we got the right size and all that kind of stuff. I can tell you, let me take this one back out into the sun just so you can see the light a little bit better, because this one is definitely, like, it's all cracked up, not in good shape at all. Just as you kind of look at it, you can tell. Like all rubber things on a car, after a certain amount of time, they give up. So anyway, that one's all cracked up and not good. So we'll go ahead and I mean, you can see the numbers right there, what they got. You know, fuel hose. Switch this over. Sorry for the amateur camera work again. But you can see that 8.0 by 13.0 from 2018. So honestly, not that long, but I guess just the heat, temperature in the engine bay, something, but you can tell it's just not looking good. So we're gonna replace, simple fix, and then we won't have fuel leaks anymore. All right, made it back from the store. There is our new fuel hose, 6 feet of it, just one chunk of it there, so we'll just have to cut that to what we need. There's the clamps. Just went ahead and got a new set, because why not? And that's how long these have been in there. And so there's the old ones. So now all I gotta do is turn that into 2 3-foot-ish sections and put back in the car. So we got both these hooked up. Like I said, the bottom one is the return line, the top one is the feed line. So we got new hoses, new clamps. Should be all good. Everything looks nice and tight. We'll obviously check it for leaks once we put pressure back on the system, but I think we're done down here. Now we just got to put that little plastic clippy piece on, and I think we're done. All right, so there's that little clippy thing right down there. I just put that on there to kind of hold the two together. I might get a zip tie and reinforce that, but we'll see. Anyway, that's all together. Now we put power on the car. You went ahead and turned the key, right? No. Okay, we'll turn it on so, like, don't crank it, but just turn it so the power's on. Alright, so we've got power on the car. I don't see anything on this side. We'll run around to the other side. Don't see anything leaking here. And check under the car. Don't see any leaks there. So go ahead and crank it. It's not unusual. It's trying to get the the AC. We'll go after that dryer over there in the corner. Gotta order that part first. So that's it. This thing's drivable. AC, and then we're gonna put some new tires on it. I want to go inside and order those right now, and we'll get them put on. So I think we're all set, and he'll be able to start driving this thing tomorrow when he gets to place.